Hey Carpool crew, maybe it's snowing outside, maybe it's just really chilly and you're bundled up in a sweatshirt, or you're sitting at the table having those last couple bites of cereal. I'm Pastor Justin, and I'm so glad you're here. Fridays, they feel really good because you're almost to the weekend, almost to a little break, and all the fun stuff you've been waiting for. Today, we're talking about the kind of joy that's even stronger than the Friday joy. We're talking about the joy that comes when we remember God's promises. Because God doesn't just make promises, He keeps them. You have a friend that keeps their promises, right? Of course. You want to have friends that keep their promises, and you want to be a friend who keeps their promises too. Well, we can look at the example of God, someone who makes promises and keeps them. In the book of Joshua, chapter 21, verse 45, it says, "None of the good promises the Lord had made to the house of Israel failed. Everything was fulfilled." This verse comes from a moment when God's people had finally reached the land God promised them. They had gone through years of wandering, battles, waiting, trusting, and sometimes doubting. But God never forgot what He promised. And when they looked back, they realized something incredible. Every single promise God made, He kept. Not some, not most, all. Everything was fulfilled. This reminds us that God's joy is connected to God's faithfulness. When we remember what God has done, we become confident about what God will do. See, if Jesus were sitting with you right now this Friday morning, maybe on the way to school or sitting at the table, He might say, "You can count on my promises. They don't expire. They don't break. You can build your life on my promises, and you will find joy there." See, Jesus knows that life can feel uncertain sometimes, but His promises are certain. They're steady. God's promises are strong and true. And remembering those promises, well, they bring joy because it reminds your heart that God is not done working in your life. See, it's easy to forget what God has promised when you're having a tough week. Maybe you felt really stressed out and school had just been really hard. Maybe someone, even a friend, said something that hurt your feelings, and your schedule, it's just been so busy. But God's promises don't disappear when life gets messy, when life gets difficult. And when you remember God's promises, joy starts rising again. Some promises God made: "I'll never leave you or abandon you. I have a plan for your life. My love for you never ends." When you remember these promises, it changes your heart. It changes your mind. It brings joy to your life. So as you head into Friday, how can you experience God's joy by remembering His promises? Well, first, just think of one promise that God made. Even one promise can steady your whole day and bring some joy. Second, maybe write it out or say it out loud. Say it to a parent or to a friend. Hearing it out loud helps it stick. And lastly, trust that God will keep His promises moving forward. There's some things in life that you can't count on. You can always count on God. Remember, no matter where you are or how you're listening, God loves you. Parents, if you've been liking the podcast, consider subscribing. This weekend, we're going to be talking about joy in quiet moments and kicking off our week on God's love as we head right to Christmas. You don't want to miss those weekend episodes or Goodnight Psalms and Carpooling with Heroes of the Bible. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Now, before you go, let's answer this question together. Which promise from God brings you the most joy right now? I'll see you tomorrow or next Monday on Carpooling with Jesus.